Iya, Pak. Iya, Pak. Selamat sore, sahabat Kemlu, and greetings to diplomats all over the world. Welcome to the fourth episode of We-Talkshow the Series, Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia, Indonesia Youth for the World, a platform for young generation to share their stories and experiences with the aim of boosting spirits, spreading motivation, promoting positive attitude to people of different cultural backgrounds, and forging connections between people and ideas. In today's episode, we will hear stories on how forging connections and building network can spark off meaningful changes as contribution to the society. Let's get to know our speakers for today. Today with us we have the first one, Miss Lily Rose Wellwell, a trained journalist and currently a public relations strategist from Vanuatu. Good evening, Miss Wellwell.
Good evening, everyone.
Next one, we have Dr. Jane Alstrand, a lecturer in Indonesian Studies at University of New England, Australia. Selamat sore, Dr. Alstrand.
Selamat sore.
Next one, we have Miss Jihan Almirah Shadid, Putri Indonesia Pariwisata 2020, and Miss Supranational Indonesia 2020. Selamat sore, Kak Jihan.
Sore, afternoon.
Moving on, we have Mr. Michael Jakari Milena, an Indonesian professional singer who was also the top 5 finalist in Indonesian Idol Season 1. Selamat sore, Kakak Michael.
Selamat sore, Kakak. Good afternoon, everyone.
Next one, we have Miss Vanessa Boy, the president of an NGO called Global Action Italy. Buongiorno, Miss Boy.
Buongiorno, good morning, everyone. Good evening, I have to say to you. Thank you.
And last but not least, today's discussion will be led by our moderator, Miss Sarah Wayne, who is currently pursuing her career as news anchor in Metro TV station. Selamat sore, Kak Sarah.
Selamat sore, Aulia.
Kak Sarah is here with us. And our first agenda is opening remarks from Director of Europe One Affairs, Bapak Sade Bimantara, who is also here with us. And then we will proceed to the talk show session led by Ms. Sarah Wynn as our moderator and followed by question and answer session. Please drop your questions at the link provided in YouTube's description box. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Bapak Sade Bimantara, the Director of Europe One Affairs, to deliver the opening remarks and officially open today's event. To Bapak Sade Bimantara, you may have the screen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Miss Aulia. It's always good to be here in the IMUD program, yeah, IMUD initiative, which is the Indonesia Youth for the World atau bahasa Indonesianya Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia, and this is the fourth episode of IMUD. So just let me begin by greeting the moderator, Miss Sarah Wayne, all the speakers, and of course all of you, the audiences all over Indonesia and all over the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, buongiorno for our speaker and our audience in Italy and Europe also. My name is Sade Bimantara. I'm the director for Europe One here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And on behalf of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, I would like to express our highest appreciation to the moderator, Ms. Sarah Wayne, the speakers from Indonesia, Kakak Miki J, and then Ms. Jihan also, and also our speakers from across the world, Miss Lily Rose Wellwell from Vanuatu, and Miss Jane Alstrand, Dr. Jane Alstrand from Australia, and Miss Vanessa Boy from Italy. Now, IMUD, we have this initiative, we have been running this initiative since June, and there were three previous IMUD. The first one was a talk or a session between the young generation of Indonesia, and the second one was talking about the digital economy, and the third was focusing on health. And so now the fourth iteration of IMUD, it's for the youth in Indonesia to connect with the youth all over the world. First, to share their experiences and views. Second, to connect one another. And third, to inspire others as well. So it is within this context that we are holding today's program. This episode is on the topic of culture and tourism, connecting peoples of different nations, creating economic activities. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia is committed, of course, to bridge and strengthen people-to-people connection, not just between government, but also between other layers of society. And now, as people-to-people connection plays a vital role in creating mutual understanding and respect among different nations. And also, we have a saying here in Indonesia that tak kenal maka tak sayang, meaning that if you don't know me, you wouldn't like me. So best to know first, and then you like later. Now, but for stronger people-to-people connection, the foreign ministry cannot do it alone. Of course, participation by all stakeholders is a must. Now, as such, IMUD 4 is organized first to connect speakers and audience from Indonesia and all over the world, and second, to promote cultural understanding, and three, to acknowledge and appreciate your roles in advancing our relations. So with that, I would like to bid you a warm welcome to IMUD 4, and looking forward to hearing and discussing with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Sade Bimantara. Moving on, let's begin our discussion session for today. So please, Kasara, you may commence the session.
Thank you, Aulia. Thank you, Pak Sade, for the introduction. And good afternoon, Indonesia time to everyone. My name is Sarah Wayne. Selamat sore semuanya kepada sahabat Kemlu and also diplomates from all over the world. And welcome to Indonesia Youth for the World atau Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia. And we are now in our fourth session, our fourth series for Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia. And before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Wayne, and it is an honor for me to be able to moderate the discussion. But before I start, I would like to say hello to all of our speakers and panelists for today. I would like to say hello to Miss Lily Rose Wellwell. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Ms. Wellwell. Hello, Ms. Wellwell. And also we have us here today, Dr. Jane Alstrand. Dr. Alstrand, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us as well. And we have here also Miss Jihan Shadid. Hello, Kaka Jihan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great also. And
Lovely.
we also have Kakak Michael Jakari Milena. Hello, Kakak Michael.
Kakak.
And hello. And we also have us here today, Miss Vanessa Boy. Buongiorno, Miss Boy. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, thank you for accepting the invitation and also taking the time to speak with us all here today. So everyone, that was our panelists for today's discussion. And before we start today's discussion, which we are talking about the topic culture and tourism, connecting peoples of different nations, creating economic activities, I would like to remind everyone here, since this is our fourth session, our fourth series for Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia. In the previous sessions, we have talked about various topics. And before we start telling you the topics that we have also talked about in the previous sessions, maybe for some of you who have just joined in our fourth episode today, Indonesia Youth for the World, our Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia is a webinar series held by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, which aims to provide a platform for Indonesian youth, also the younger generation of Indonesia, to share their inspirational stories, their thoughts, their ideas on an international platform to everyone who can see them or listen to them on a digital platform. And now this episode is relatively new for the first time because today is very special, since we have also introduced to everyone, the panelists here. We are joined by not only people from Indonesia, but also our friends from Vanuatu, Australia, and also Italy. So this is a very special session for everyone, so we can get all the insights, all the ideas from various countries from all over the world. And now, panelists and also diplomates and Sahabat Kemlu, this session, we will listen to the stories, inspiring ideas, thoughts from our panelists talking about the culture and tourism and also their economic potential that lies within them. But I would like to also remind to everyone here, to Sahabat Kemlu and also diplomates on the sessions before, since we have 3 sessions. In the first episode, we have listened to the impressive stories from achievers of Indonesia who have taken up the challenges and opportunities and also overcame them on the international stage. And on our second episode of the series, we had also speakers who shared their career journey that pursued and also used the advancement of digital technology to help them succeed in their career. And the third episode was also very timely because we are all now facing a pandemic globally, the COVID-19 pandemic, and we discussed about that with the health practitioners and also gain their insights and ideas. And this time, as I mentioned before, we are talking about how people-to-people relations can help boost economic activities and also maximize the potential in them. So without further ado, we were here to gather around these wonderful panelists, these wonderful speakers, and also you who are joining in with us, Sahabat Kemlu and diplomates. We would like to have your insights, your ideas, and your thoughts on how the younger generation can play a vital role in helping boost economic relations and also fostering people-to-people relation, which is the heart of diplomacy that can help the mutual understanding between countries. So without further ado, we will start the discussion. But since this is a talk show, we'd like to have an interactive session. So I'd like to invite everyone, Sahabat Kemlu diplomates, to please drop your questions, to have them answered by our panelists by writing down your questions, by stating your name, your institution in the link provided in the YouTube comment box. So let's just kick into the discussion for this afternoon. We would like to start with Kakak Jihan, but before I start, I believe Kakak Jihan has prepared for us a special video to show her activities. So let's watch the video together before we start.
Across the land of love and dreams, I will save your heart from breaking. Raise your hands to the sky, free. Raise your hands to the sky to stop, please. Set me free.
So yes, that was the video. Hello, Kakak Jihan.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Kakak Jihan. We saw your video, and that was
Thank you.
#ActYourThoughts. And you're not also Putri Indonesia Pariwisata 2020, but you're also Miss Supranational Indonesia 2020. Can you please tell us more here on what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What are your activities and roles exactly? And including the video that we have watched together earlier, your social media program.
Sure. Well, before that, I would like to say hi to everyone. And thank you for having me today, and also for the participants and the showrunners for being present today. And I would like to share a little of my story. It's probably going to be the lightest among all because not only that I'm only 20 years old, but I don't have that much experience as the others, I would say. But yes, about the video before, it's a little bit, it's just a piece of my advocacy that I carry and that I would say that I established on my own. It's basically nearly like an organization, but I would say something that I have built or created on my own. But before stepping onto that, I would say that I'm busy with preparations for my international competition, Miss Supranational 2020, that I would say would be done on 2021. And yes, I'm Jen Almira Shadid. I'm from Indonesia. I'm mixed blood. I'm Javanese and Lebanese. And I live in Jakarta for now. And there's lots of things that I've been preparing, especially in this pandemic situation. There's a lot of things that I did not expect, which I would say why I did not expect with all the system and the programs that has been created or has been done before for the past years from the contest and everything. It's stigma, or there's a benchmark where you have to do things in a routine. And because of this pandemic, things has been stopped, and then there's lots of obstacles that I can't really be all out and optimal about it. But yes, we still have to walk, and we have to follow the development of the regulations and I would say the improvements of the virus, I would say, because it's something it's not created, but then somehow we just have to grow with it. And yes, I've actually been busy, meeting people. Well, I would say it's gonna be a little bit bizarre because you're not supposed to be meeting people in conditions like this, but I have to, in accordance with my preparations, I have to be meeting lots of people, which say that, I have beauty and performance lessons, and then I have to be meeting designers for fittings, and then, it's a pageant contest, so you have to be prepared in your appearance. Everything has to be perfect. And this is not able to be done without meeting people. And of course, we still have to follow the protocols to do that. And that's going to be another challenge, I would say.
Yes. True.
Aside from that, yeah, it's quite difficult. But, let's say that there's still going to be innovations. And I'm sure that there's going to be a cure, or there's just going to be a way for us to look for, to be living our lives the way it used to be, or maybe on a different level, but still moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Kak Jihan, we watched your video earlier. You used the hashtag, that means you're using a hashtag, you're using digital technology to help promote your hashtag or your social movement, Act Your Thoughts. Can you tell us more on why you chose the digital content of Act Your Thoughts, and how is it going so far? Because you were also connecting with people from various backgrounds, from various cultures as well, in promoting this hashtag of yours.
Yes. So I would share a little of the essence of Act Your Thoughts itself. So I've been doing this community building from quite some time before I joined the pageantry. But, you have to have a title to be carrying the certain movements you take. So I was looking for, okay, what would be a good representation, or what would be the right words to be putting on this as a like globally. So I would say, okay, I think it's Act Your Thoughts. Why? Because this movement, it doesn't only represent one movement or one category. For, let's say, for instance, I stand for women empowerment or HIV or, all those kind of things. But this is general, where we're doing the self-actualization program for ourselves, where we have something in mind. We have something in mind, but we don't have the progress. So for instance, me, I had this thing in mind for the community, let's just move it, let's put it in a pointer that this is for the people, and this is to make a better world for someone else. And it was me and my thoughts, seeing these people on the streets, and then I see those who's a little bit unfeasible, and then like, what can I do to make their world a little better. So it was simply just, okay, let's say we can give our nurture, we can give attention to them, we can make them feel noticed with us going to like intervene and jumping in straight to their daily life, like asking about how they're doing. And then then my job is, how do I carry all the people around me to have the same state of mind as I do, or the same points of view, and making a positive movement for themselves. It doesn't have to be for the people that's unpeaceable. It could be something else, maybe for the for tree planting, for instance, or a beach cleanup, or maybe giving out the hygiene kits, because they know that in these days lots of people are needing it, but then we see that lots of people are not doing what they're supposed to do, like wearing masks and then using these sanitizers and all those kind of stuff. So it covers lots of things.
Yes. Bringing positive impacts to people's lives.
Yes, just like that. It's something simple, but rarely done right, I would say, or rarely progressed, maybe because of factors of procrastination, maybe, or maybe because that they don't have the time,
Yes.
or maybe they're too busy. Like, there's lots of factors, but it's something that if you manage well, it could be done.
Okay, and that's where you start with your movement, hashtag Act Your Thoughts. Okay,
Yes.
so we'd like to also ask our other panelists, Ms. Wellwell, who is joining us from Vanuatu. Good evening, Ms. Wellwell. Ms. Wellwell, if we see your credentials here, you have an experience of over 14 years in many fields, especially in communications, journalism, but also community relations that needs people-to-people relations and connections. Can you please share with us your experiences and what have brought you this far?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good evening to everyone that's joining in the conversation. So I have experience in journalism and communication, and I've worked with within the government, semi-government sector and private, and now I'm currently working of experience in working with people, and we currently work a lot with the young people. So we, the young people that we're working with, young people that have low or no education. With people, and along the way we've learned that it's not easy working with people. People have different attitudes to understand the different perceptions of where they're coming from. What are some of the things that they are used to? What are some of the things that they will need to get used to? And especially with this climate of COVID-19, with the new normal that everybody's going through, it's becoming so much easier for the young people to adapt and get used to the new normal.
All right, Ms. Wellwell, you have mentioned that you have interacted with many young people or the younger generation. Can you please tell us from your experience, how are they maximizing their potential up to this day, in your opinion?
Okay, so from our experience in Vanuatu, it will be very different from experiences elsewhere. But in Vanuatu, because it's a small country, and just for perspective, Vanuatu has just recorded its first a systematic case on the 10th of November. So with the first case, the case is in quarantine. So at the moment, a lot of people in Vanuatu, we still have our restrictions. We're on lockdown. We have the social distancing rule applies to everyone. We have to wash, like all businesses, they have to put up hand washing stations in the shops, the schools, offices, everywhere. Apart from that, all the activities that we're currently doing is as normal, but at the same time, it's different. We've seen that with the people in Vanuatu, they're becoming more and more to have the border that's open. We have a lot of people coming in from different countries, and we have a lot of options to purchase goods or like to use people for their different skills and abilities and expertise. But with the lockdown, we have to utilize and use our own resources. So we've seen how young people have come up with ideas. They've gotten together. They've had different events, and a lot of the events that has been happening is around music events. And we're looking forward to the first Snap one that is very popular in the state. And it is popular because we have a lot of international performers coming into the country to perform. This year will be the first time that we'll be celebrating the 25th year of Snap one, and there'll be no international performance, and it's all the local performers. And we've seen how they've grown to work together, utilize the resources that we have. We have had music competitions. We've had a lot of activities that the young people, they themselves have come up with. And because of the limited options that we have now, the young people and people in general in Vanuatu have gone beyond and have find ways out how they can readjust and commit to
Okay, Ms. Well, it seems that we have experienced some technical difficulties in listening to your answer, but if I can wrap things up, you have mentioned that the younger generation in Vanuatu, because due to the pandemic, they have to be able to work together. They have come together, working together with different expertise and also exploring their capabilities and abilities to be able to work together. I hope that was the correct answer you were giving us here today on the panel session. And I hope a nod is a good sign as well from Ms. Wellwell. So we'd like to ask for the other speakers as well, due to our time limit. We'd like to ask Ms. Boy, who is joining us from Italy. Once again, Ms. Boy, buongiorno. And we'd like to know more because Ms. Boy here is currently holding the position of the president of an NGO called Global Action Italy. And Ms. Boy here, you recently also joined the G7 Youth Summit, the Young Professionals and Foreign Policies, as the head delegation from Italy. And since it's a global summit, I am sure you have met people or the young youth from various countries from all around the world. Can you please tell us your experiences there? What have you shared with the other delegates from various countries at that summit, Ms. Boy?
Thank you very much for this question, Sarah. Yes, I am the head delegate of the Italian delegation at the G7 Youth Summit this year, and the summit should have taken place in Washington in June, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we had to move all the conference online, so it was a very big challenge also on that side. Was an amazing experience, as I had the chance to meet a lot of young people, very well prepared, very well dedicated to their countries, and to in some way, improve the life of their country, and was something really important because I was not just representing my country, so myself, but I was representing the youth of my country, so the Italian youth. So I had to do a lot of researches first to understand what were the priorities for the youth of my country and fellow delegates of other countries to develop for countries, but also for the youth of their countries that were not in the G7. So it was amazing because I learned a lot from because every one of them, I learned a lot, and we had we worked before summit where we had to discuss our policy proposals best and try to. Also amazing to see how young people can cooperate together all over the world with different time zones, meet every week and try to reach their goals and their main objectives in order to write this final communique that at the end we send to the White House, that this year as the take into consideration the youth. So it was a very big challenge, and I learned a lot, and I'm glad to have this honor for my country.
Yes, Miss Boy, you mentioned that the key word was understanding, and also it was a very challenging process to be able to come together and then to create one mutual understanding between all of you delegates at the summit. Can you please tell us how did you overcome that challenge, and what did you learn from each and every one delegates from the other members of the summit?
Yes, as I said, we worked in the field of education in my committee. So I had the big chance to learn also from other countries about their educational system. This is something really important. And I had the chance to see what are the positive aspects, for example, of Italian education. Also, the other delegates did the same. And we are from very different countries, for example, from Japan to the United States to the UK. So every one of us had different priorities. For example, in the US or in the UK, their main priority was the fact that to go to the university, you have to pay very, very high fees. Something that in Italy we're not used to have, because you have a lot of scholarships. So if you want to study, you can do that, specifically in the public universities, also in the private. But for that other countries, that was the priority. So you have to match, and you have to leave some space also for the others. So you have to find a compromise in order to touch all the points or all the different countries, and not just think to yourself to solve the issues. And was also really interesting that every one of us coming from the most developed economies of the world, we can say, we had the time and we had the thoughts to think to countries that are less developed. And in this country, education is not guarantee to everyone. So which also to develop some proposals for them to ensure education and access to education to people that can't afford that, or that live in emergency situations, in refugee camps, for example, in conflicts and in wars. So it was really good to cooperate. The key word is cooperation, and you have to do that, because if there is no cooperation, you're not going to have an outcome for the world, not just for you. So was very instructive.
So cooperation. Thank you, Ms. Boy. And now we are going to ask another way to promote mutual understanding. It's through music or through the arts. And we have here today with us Kakak Michael Jakari Milena. Hello, Kakak Michael. And Kaka Michael here is one of the ones who made it to the 5 finalists of the very first season of Indonesian Idol. Is that true, Kaka Michael?
Yes, Kakak.
Now, Kaka Michael, you are known to actively promote the Indonesian culture, Indonesia, on the national scale and the international scale through the arts, through music, through movies. Can you please tell us more about your experiences, especially since you have also gone through on many concerts and probably school concerts in Australia as well, promoting Indonesia and its culture? Can you tell us more on how you promoted Indonesia?
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. I feel honored to become the representative of my country to share about my experience. I think before I speak of my journey, I love to tell that my current profession, which is a singer and an actor, is shaped from the place that I came from, Papua. I grew up in a place where culture is a very important value, and it shapes me to be who I am today. That's why every time I sing, I also share about Papua, Indonesia. And back to my journey as a singer, I think most people know me because I'm a part of the first Indonesian Idol. I was the top 5 of Indonesian Idol season 1. Years later, I also play as a role as an actor in movies such as Benias, Timur Matahari, and the last one in 2019 is During in You. So yeah, and my experience to promote Indonesian language through the concert in Australia since 2016, and the last time was 2019. It's held by the Balai Bahasa Indonesia Perth. So yeah, I've become the like a teacher of Bahasa Indonesia, but I did it through music, through Indonesian music with different theme like nationalism, that's about culture of Indonesia, that's about friendship, the positive thing. Yeah,
Michael, can you please tell us, have you ever experienced how powerful, because you said culture was a very big part in shaping you growing up, but how can culture play its part in fostering mutual understanding and also promoting Indonesia's diversity, especially in other countries?
Because it's become the interesting thing to like tourists to come. I can tell that we Indonesian we have so many cultures and unique our uniqueness, and it's like become the selling values of our country.
Okay. Is there any go-to song or music that you'd like to play at concerts, at the school concert? Can you please give us a bit of your voice? An example for us all here this evening, Kaka Michael. With your guitar, of course. Silakan, Kaka Michael. And please do tell us the story behind the song or music as well.
So the song called Raya Indonesia, it tells about how um, how 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 rich, how big, how wonderful our deep diversity uh, as uh, as nation of Indonesia, and it's really important to us as in Indonesia to be united, as a Raya Indonesia. Siapa dirimu? Siapa diriku? Dari mana kamu? Dari mana aku? Kita boleh beda, tapi mimpi kita sama. Raya Indonesia. Apapun warnamu, apa bahasamu, di mana tanahmu, di mana airku, mungkin tidak sama, tapi hati kita sama. Raya Indonesia, di sini aku berdiri untuk Raya Indonesia. Di sini aku berjanji untuk Raya Indonesia. Di sini aku berbakti untuk Raya Indonesia. Di sini aku mengabdi untuk Raya Indonesia.
Amazing, Kakak Michael. And you see everyone here is applauding. Well, although everyone is on mute, but they are certainly applauding. And we hope we can sing along with you, Kakak Michael. But nevertheless, one of the sentences that I took from the song was "Kita beda tapi kita sama," which means although we're different, we're very much all are similar to each other. So Kakak Michael, we'll get back to you later. But thank you for your wonderful insights and also the wonderful song that you played for us. But we'd like to ask now to Dr. Jane Alstrand, who is a lecturer of Indonesian Studies in the University of New England, Australia. So Dr. Alstrand, we know here that you have helped us promote Indonesian arts, Bahasa Indonesia as well, and also our culture overseas, especially in Australia. Can you please tell us how, by understanding our culture, Indonesia's culture, can help you promote mutual understanding between our two countries, and especially since you, with your international education background, can help promote mutual understanding between different countries as well?
Well, I was lucky enough to participate in the Dharma Siswa program as well as the work and holiday program. So in 2011 and 2012. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to learn Balinese dance directly among the local kids, really, because in Indonesia, they learn from childhood. So because I was able to get so close, so at such a grassroots level with the Indonesian people, I think I developed a real, a deeper understanding of Indonesian culture and a real love for the people. So coming back to Australia with the language and the dance skills that I had, I was just so keen to share it with anybody who wanted to know, or maybe even people who didn't want to know. I would share it anyway. So I think because of having that really positive memory, that really strong connection that we developed through that process of learning something together, rather than me coming along as some kind of white savior and I'm going to tell you how to fix your country. It wasn't like that. I was learning from them, and we were actually learning something side by side. So when I returned to Australia, that appreciation for Indonesia really carried me on. When I performed, I gave dance workshops. Most of the time I taught for free because I was just so enthusiastic about it and sharing this love of the arts. And that also motivated me to go further and study my PhD. My PhD is in a different area on Indonesian politics, gender, and the media, but still having that deep appreciation for the country inspired me to take it to the next level and engage in higher learning about Indonesia. So I think that answers your question, hopefully.
Yes, and Dr. Astran, you have also studied the Indonesian language. Is there any particular reason why you chose to study a foreign language, or probably why Indonesian language in particular? And how does this help you in helping become a friend of Indonesia, in promoting our cultures, our values in Australia, or to whoever who would like to know about it, or even those who doesn't want to know? You keep sharing all of our values and also our culture as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think without the language skills, I wouldn't have really been able to get as close as I did to the Indonesian people, especially, everyday working class Indonesian kids aren't going to an international school. They don't have that privilege of the elite. So I was able to really get in there and learn about, let's say, the real Indonesia. And I was motivated to learn the language, well, partly because in Australia at the time in my primary school, elementary school, we had to learn it. But being forced to learn a language isn't really that fun. It was much more real and relevant to me from the moment I actually visited Indonesia and saw it and smelled Indonesia for myself. I could feel this completely new atmosphere that really brought greater meaning to the language. And since then, I've been studying seriously since about 1999 until now. And so being able to master the language and enjoy sinetron, laugh at Indonesian comedy, that's really satisfying to me. And studying at university and then using my skills in my PhD to do linguistic analysis, that was so useful. And now I'm teaching it to Australian people, and we run the class online now because of COVID, but I just love to share my passion for the language and also meet young upcoming students who share that similar spark and passion for the language.
Okay, Dr. Astran, I have to ask this. What sinetron was your favorite?
Preman Pensiun.
Preman Pensiun. So there you go, Preman Pensiun. But Dr. Astran, thank you for answering that question of mine. But you have mentioned that you have done various researches as well on Indonesia. Are there any researches that you are doing right now that's related to our topic today, fostering mutual understandings between people?
Not particularly. My research, well, I guess as an Australian, I'm researching about Indonesia, and I'm going to publish a book which is going to be on the topic of Indonesia, understanding how the media interacts with political discourses and especially women's political participation in Indonesia. And so from that knowledge, I think I can share that with the rest of the world, and we can see parallels and similarities with Indonesia. So Indonesia is an important contender as a democracy. It's a huge country and it deserves international attention. So although it's not specifically on engagement, I think by sharing my research more broadly, I think it will shine a light on Indonesia as an important democratic nation.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Astran, for all you have done and what you are also currently doing for Indonesia here. But you have mentioned that one of the main reasons that helped you grew your love for Indonesia was actually coming here and experiencing all the activities, Balinese dances, meeting people, connecting with them personally on a personal level, and coming here in person. So therefore, since we are also talking about culture and also tourism, we have here today with us Ms. Jihan Almira Shadid, who is also Putri Indonesia Pariwisata or Putri Indonesia Tourism 2020. We'd like to know more on her views on regarding the tourism aspect. How important is it to help people understand Indonesia by attracting them to come here by promoting the tourism industry? And how can that play its part in fostering the people-to-people connection and also the mutual understandings, in your opinion?
Okay, thank you, Kasara. The exposure of tourism in Indonesia is quite easily done in these days and era, I would say, because now everything is digital. Everything is connected through social media, especially in the millennial era. I would say, me for instance, all the exposures are simply done through Instagram stories, through YouTube channel, and all those stuff. And lots of people are actually interested, and they get they get attracted with lots of Instagrammable spots, for instance. And what I do, I have this actor thoughts movement that I have mentioned before. These things that I've been doing is I go through areas that is quite unreachable. So when I do these, I go from one area, I visit one area, and I would say that I increase or elevate the sales of the local traders there, because my program is by buying daily consumptions and groceries and giving out to the people maybe in that area, or maybe if I have left, if I have not leftover, but if I have more supplies, I would put it out in somewhere else, and I would do the same in every area I visit because I move around. And I would say all these stuff, when I do the interactions as well, I get informations from people in the local areas. I would ask them, like, is there any spots here that is untouchable that not a lot of people know about, and is there any highlights that people from outside needs to know? So all this communication is actually very important for me to be able to spread the words through the media as well. So maybe there are lots of hidden landmarks that not a lot of people know yet. So my job here and my role as Putri Indonesia Pariwisata, or the tourism ambassador, I just have to make use or take advantage of the social media in these days.
And giving them the exposure that they need on
Yes.
global stage. Okay, Kakak Jihan, from your answer, I'd like to ask Kakak Michael, because Kakak Jihan used social media to expose the hidden
Yes.
gems of Indonesia to the world. But Kakak Michael, you're also exposing Indonesia's diversity through music and also through movies or through the arts. Can you please tell us, what do you think can be taken as your role? What roles can you take as a musician, as a performer, as an artist, to help create the opportunities of people coming to Indonesia, are probably creating economic opportunities from the Indonesian arts and culture?
My plan is as simple like because I was born from Papua, so I have like a responsibility to introduce my hometown, but it's become bigger, but it's become like economic things more important than just only my thought, my dream about just only perform or singing, but to introduce Indonesia, my country, to the world. So what can I do is I will still make like artworks. I will still perform, like I get another opportunity to perform wherever I get invited. But I will show our identity. I will show that Indonesians have a lot of culture, a lot of languages, a lot of tribes, and I will put it into my song or maybe into my new movie as long as I get the opportunity. So hopefully that's small part of what I can bring to explore, to show how rich Indonesians can be seen to the world, to whoever who watch my movie or hear my song.
Yes, I agree. And if Kakak Jihan mentioned that there are many hidden gems in Indonesia, there are so many hidden gems as well in Papua that we have yet to see. And we're waiting for you, Kakak Michael, to show it to us through
I'd
your
love
work.
to.
So yes, we'd also like to ask Ms. Wellwell here. Ms. Wellwell, in your opinion, we have heard the acts of movements that Kakak Michael, Kakak Jihan have done to help promote Indonesian culture. But in your opinion, how could the people-to-people connection help generate or foster economic opportunities?
Thank you so much for the question. So yeah, so Vanuatu is I think one of the leading economies in Vanuatu is tourism. So we depend a lot on tourism to grow our economy, and as our tourism industry, and from our experience, people come to Vanuatu to see the people of Vanuatu because the culture, because of the traditional dances. So people come to Vanuatu to see them, and it is a good way for us to connect with each other. So once you people with different cultures and respect the differences that they have in their cultures, respect the social perceptions, because I think most of the time when we build connections with people, we tend to forget that, and we tend to particular discussions on their cultures or their beliefs or their religions, and not understand how they would react. So it is very important for people with who grew up in different diversity, they can adapt and they can understand the different connections that we bring to the table when we come together as one, because it's through our diversity and our differences that what makes us beautiful, and it's what is important for all of us. Relationships work better together.
Yes, I agree, Ms. Wellwell. The differences or the diversity, of course, becomes a selling point for all of us, or for even for Vanuatu to promote to other countries and also to other people from all around the globe. And before, I would like to ask Ms. Boy and also Dr. Alstron on their views. I would like to remind everyone here, since we are approaching the question and answer session, to please do, if you have any questions for our panelists, for either Kakak Jihan, Kakak Michael, Ms. Wellwell, Dr. Alstron, or Ms. Boy, please do write your questions in the link provided on the YouTube channel comment box. Once again, please do drop your name, your institution, and your question, and who the question is referred to. And I'm pretty sure all of our panelists here are ready to answer your questions. Is that true? Ladies and gentlemen, all the panelists with a nod? Yes, they all have nodded. So let's get on with the discussion. I would like to ask, if I have asked Ms. Wellwell, Kakak Michael, Kakak Jihan on their views, I would like to ask Ms. Boy on your opinion regarding how to foster the tangible our economic benefits from people-to-people connection, from the mutual understandings that is created, especially across the youth. What benefits can be seen or can be benefited from fostering these connections?
Thank you very much for this question. Yes, I think that mutual understanding and culture are very much connected. This is what I try to do with my NGO in Italy, Global Action, where we work with a team of young people in order to share informed knowledge with the young generations about the other countries and the other cultures. So what we try to do is with connection, so in connection with the embassies in Italy, we share with through young people, through mainly 16 and 18 young people. We shared the values of diplomacy and cooperation, sharing the values of culture and mutual understanding of each country. So it's something very important because thanks to these experiences, young people can be in contact with, new cultures, new people, diplomats from all over the world, and this can give them the possibility to meet new countries, just staying in their country. And one day, of course, they will visit that country. So important. So this is important for these young people in order to visit the countries, to have open minds. And I think it's something important that each country should have to do in order in some way to shape knowledge within young generation through culture and through mutual understanding. So I think that build connection is the main objective that each institution has to reach. And also I think that just knowing each other and knowing what is different, we can improve our economies, we can do something different for our countries. We can just think on what the world leaders do. I mean, to solve international issues or big issues, they try to cooperate together. They not try to do or to go alone, because if you go alone, of course you can solve the problem or the issue, but if you go together in connection, you can do big things, you can change the world. And this is what we try to do with Global Action and with young people. So we try to open their mind, and we try to eliminate stereotypes in cooperation with the embassies. And also the Embassy of Indonesia in Italy is doing an amazing work, sharing your country, your culture, your food. That is something incredible. And it's hard to taste in Indonesia food, the real Indonesian food in Italy, but we have the chance to do this thank you to your embassy in Italy. And you can imagine how young people can be amazed by this, and also by the pictures of the beauty of your country that I had the chance to visit, luckily. And this is really important. So connection can foster people to discover new aspects of the countries that can also amaze them and can, give them the opportunity one day to go there, visit, and of course, improve the economies and the connections.
Ms. Boy, how can one start to connect? Because you mentioned that you have attended G7 Youth Summit. From your opinion, what do the other delegates have in common that probably the students here who are watching our session here today can start from right now moving forward?
Well, I think that nowadays we're all interconnected every time, every single moment, through social media, through every single platform that we have at our disposal. But in my opinion, in my experience, what I have is this, this curiosity for what is different and for what I don't know, because it's easy, I think, to stay in your own space, yourself, your country, your town, your city, but it's hard sometimes to face what there is outside your boundaries, your little space. So I think that's the first thing. So you have to be curious, you have to have this desire, because it's something that you have inside, to know what is different, and in some way to understand, because sometimes we're bombed with information, with things that are not true, and just studying and trying to depend, judge, but you don't really know what you're judging, and this is something very bad for our world. So I think that I studied international relations. Also, my field of study helped me a lot, because I analyzed a lot of international things, international issues, and this just drive me to this feeling to want to know more, to understand more about the cultures, about the religions, the different religions. And this is, I think, very important. So you don't have to be close, you have to be really open-minded, and you have to be also at the disposal of the other, in the way that you have to listen the others. So if you have an opinion, it's okay, but maybe can be wrong. So you can change that. Not maybe in a very extreme way, but maybe in some way you can just think and realize that you were thinking in not the right way, because talking with the other, having discussions, and this is what we did during the G7, we had a lot of discussions to understand the other. So mutual understanding is really important. So curiosity, be open mind, and mutual understanding for what is different from you and the others people.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boy. And also that means, if I can take away from your answer, is the ability to listen to each and everyone's perspective as well. So we have talked about how to start connecting with people, but then after connection, there's also the field of impact on other people. We'd like to ask Dr. Alstrand, on your opinion, how can one make an impact, especially the youth here today who are probably listening to us, who are hoping to help take action in fostering the diplomacy and also the increasing the people-to-people connection and interaction?
Making an impact. I think from an Indonesian point of view for the youth, I think in my experience of interacting with them, I found that a lot of young people feel malu. They feel shy. They feel something's holding them back. Whereas if they take a step back and they realize what a beautiful and exciting country they're living in, then they have so much cultural capital and cultural capital to share with the world. So there, from the point of view of the arts, making an impact through the arts, that's a really easy thing for Indonesian people to do, because your arts industry and entertainment industry is really impressive and rich, especially to a Western audience. We're used to seeing, bland Western stuff every day. When we see something from Indonesia, it takes us to a faraway place, somewhere so exotic, I guess. So I think, from my art-centric perspective, it's really a great place to start in the arts and embracing that rich cultural heritage that Indonesia has, whether it be dance, music, the costumes, the clothes, the textiles. That's something that you can share with the world, and you can share that knowledge and teach other people. They want to learn. They will want to know more in detail about that, because it's something that's so unique to Indonesia. So that's my point of view.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alstrand, for your views. And one of the most important thing is jangan malu, right, doctor? Harus berani. We have to be brave. Okay, so now we'd like to jump into the question and answer session. And once again, I would like to remind to all participants that you can still drop in your questions for all our panelists by clicking on the link provided on the YouTube channel comment box and write down your name, your institution, also the question, and whom you'd like to address the question to. So without further ado, we'll jump right in. Be prepared, panelists. Here are the questions from our chat box that has entered. The first one I would like to read from Laisa from Gajah Mada University. And this question is for Ms. Vanessa Boy. Ms. Vanessa Boy, how does Global Action Italy cope with the current pandemic? Does it change the way you and the organization see globalization and diplomacy?
Thank you very much for this question. Yes, we were used to work, of course, in person. So during a school year, we were used to organize 100 of meetings in person with young people and within the embassies and diplomats. So can you imagine how a pandemic can have changed this? So at the beginning was really hard to understand how to manage the situation, because we had a lot of young people involved in our programs that had to go on with the program, and also partners that wanted to continue. So we had to, to brainstorm and understand how can move this in online version. So this is what we are doing now. Thanks to the cooperation of all the partners, we moved the program completely online for now, because in Italy, we are still in the emergency situation. So we have some restrictions. Young people are not going to school. They're following the lessons online. So it's impossible to organize any kind of meeting in person with a lot of people. Can you imagine? So we are organizing all the meetings in online versions. So the diplomats, the ambassadors can meet the class online through the platforms, and they can discuss about the topics that were organized before. Like, for example, the role of the country, or, for example, the culture of the country, introduction to, I don't know, Indonesia, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, each country that we have in our network. And each class is matched with an embassy. So each embassy can work in these online platforms with the class. And it's something important because it's, I think, a response to the emergency also. In some way, we're not stopping. We have to continue doing what we were doing before. We have to continue trying to reach our main goals and objectives. And this is important because also without meeting in person, you can do something great. You can build connections. And this is something this is a new experience now for everyone, also for the world of diplomacy. They are changing the ways to have meetings during the G7, during the United Nations meetings. So also this is what we are doing at Global Action. And we, of course, hope to come back very soon to meet everyone in person. But for now, yes, we moved on the digital version, but the results are very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boy. The key is to advancing and using the advanced technology and also ever adapting to all situations. All right, we'll move on to the next question. And the next question is from Alda Mayo, who's from Ottawa. Hello, Alda Mayo. And the question is addressed to Kakak Jihan. Kakak Jihan, what would you suggest to boost tourism between places that are very, very distant, like Indonesia and Canada? We know internet has helped people connect. However, physical distance and its corresponding cost is something that needs to be considered as well.
Yes, thank you for the question. For instance, I've been mentioning before, the power of media is very huge. And even Indonesians or people here in Indonesia, we know or we acknowledge the tourism sector from other countries. So I'm sure it's a both direction interaction and communication where we can know where we know the things from outside, and the same thing that, I mean, vice versa. They will know the things we have in Indonesia as well. But because of the COVID, it's something that we have to follow, the regulations, the protocols. It's something to reassure ourselves. But then, of course, it depends on every country. Maybe they have their own regulations, which doesn't always apply the same way. But here in Indonesia, we are still in we're in a transition mode right now. But as much as possible, still lock ourselves down as much as possible. But of course, as the innovation will still develop and continue, I say that maybe there's still going to be a difference. There's going to be improvements in how we're supposed to travel. The travel fares and everything is still going to change. And it's still going to elevate somehow. So it's just a matter of time. We just have to wait. We just have to be patient. And we will solve some ways to continue traveling, to be exploring more places, to be finding out even more hidden gems in every country that's suitable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kakak Jihan, for the answer. And we'll move on. This question is from Fatih, who is from Jakarta. Hello, Fatih. And this question is addressed to Dr. Alstran. Dr. Alstran, how and why did you decide that you want to be a lecturer in the Indonesian studies? And what is the most life-changing experience you had while living in Indonesia?
Okay, I think it seemed to me to be a natural progression to become a lecturer, because it really gave me the opportunity to have a live audience to share the passion for the Indonesian language with. And I used to work as a PNS, pegawai negeri, civil servant. And after a while, I felt that that was not quite fulfilling enough. I thought there was more to learn about Indonesia and more I could do in relation to Indonesia. So that's the way. And I set that goal, finish the PhD and become a lecturer. And I think it's good to have goals, and goals that can possibly, have an impact, not only on myself, but on a broader audience. And life-changing experience. There were so many life-changing experiences in Indonesia. So I was very, very open-minded and curious, and I would say yes to anything. So someone said, come to my grandmother's funeral in Singaraja. Okay. And so I got on the back of a motorbike and went up to Singaraja, and it was the first time I attended a Balinese funeral and the first time I'd ever seen, a dead body, because in Australia, we're not open with death. And so seeing the Indonesian people saying farewell to their grandmother, it's when I'd stepped into a new world. I knew, like, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're not in Australia anymore. We're in Bali, up in Singaraja in the village. So from that moment, I continued to engage with all these other opportunities. I visited temples and watched the people pray. People went into a trance, and that's part of their belief system, channeling the spirits of the ancestors. And I learned to accept that that's somebody's, or a large community's, set of beliefs, and to them that's a normal part of life. So it continues on and on like that, like series of confronting events that gradually open my mind wider and wider.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alström, for your answer. And we are to move on to the next question. And the next question is for Ms. Wellwell. Ms. Wellwell, the question is from Safira, who is from Palembang. Her question for you is, oftentimes people make the pandemic an excuse to not be productive. What would you suggest to the young generation to be more productive, effectively creating impacts in these challenging times?
Thank you very much for the question. I think it is a very important question. A lot of young people these days, with the increase in technology, we call a lot of young people like the looked down generation. But the advantage that the young people have is that they're creative, innovators, and they're leaders in their own right. If you look at stories around the world today, and even in Vanuatu, young people are the ones who are leading the change today. So if you put your mind into it, you can do it. And especially with people who are always online, and you as a young person, you want to know and get and learn a lot of information from other people, and explore the internet, explore the new ways of communication. And that includes the good and the bad side of communication. But the advantage that you young people have is that you are creative people, you are innovators, and you can do whatever you put your mind into it. And it is a perfect opportunity nowadays to look at what are some of the challenges that we have now. And with the COVID pandemic that is affecting everyone around the world, there's two things that for our young people, I always tell them, there's two things that you can do now. And if it's not that created, and being able to create these two things, whatever you do, create something that will address two things, and that is food security and technology. If that creation means, or innovation means, you will create a new technology that will make it easier for you to communicate with other people, perfect. Or if it's say a business idea that you've come up with that will address a food security issue that you're facing in your community or in your country, that's perfect. Do that. You young people are you're in the perfect generation now to do that, because you are full of energy. You have the energy to create and innovate new things that will get the older generation, and it will help our communication and our connectedness with each other around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wellwell. So the key is to also using technology to continuously being innovative for the younger generation. All right. Next, we'd like to continue to the question and answer session. And the next question is for Kakak Michael. Kakak Michael, this question is from Satrio Bagas Santoso from Ateneo de Davao University alumni. We all know that social media becomes a powerful venue to convey our messages these days, but at the same time, it can be very dangerous with misleading informations. Do you think digital connectivity is an advantage? If yes, how will you use social platforms for a better world?
Okay, thank you for the question. What I post in my social media, all of my accounts, yeah, I just only post some positive thing, and I share things about something creative, something about our culture, Indonesian, especially Indonesian culture, and for me myself, I never when I got some information, videos or picture, I will try to find the source first. Then I will do like, I tell to myself that if it's a benefit for not only for me but for my followers, I will post it. But if it's not, like just only posting to get followers, I will not do that. So that's based on my experience.
Okay, coming back to asking yourself first, will this be beneficial? Will this bring a good impact for your followers before actually sharing them, right, Kaka Michael? So other from Kaka Michael, this is an interesting topic. I would like to ask this to Kaka Jihan as well, because you're also actively using the social media to advocate your social movement with your hashtags. In your opinion, how can one use social media effectively just regarding the misinformation, the misleading hoaxes that we have to see from day to day?
Effectively and wisely, that's a very important note to keep in mind when using social media, because like Michael said, whether it is or not beneficial for us or even for the other audiences, we must know that when there is a information, could it be a hoax or not? Is it actually effective for the other people to be reading such informations or watching such videos? Because actually there are more important things to be exposed for the public, for the children, for youth, even for elders as well. And this is the things that sometimes we miss as millennials, especially. But then, well, there's just things about millennials, as they're also young, they're youth. They would say that, well, we're children, that's what we do. But as time goes by, even children sometimes could be as wise as elders, or even a 5-year-old could be talking as if they're 15 years old. So as it keeps moving on, I think the way that how we're supposed to be using things effectively, not only social media, even on the articles and even in hard copies, is just by sorting things out and filterizing the things that is actually important for us to know and for us to absorb. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Effectively and wisely.
Yes.
You have to take in and put that into note. Okay, next question is for Dr. Alstrand. And the question is from the YouTube live chat comment, and it's from Muhammad Kamal from Khartoum. And Dr. Alstrand, the question is, how do you define religious tolerance in terms of diversity?
I think it's really important to accept differences of opinion when it comes to religion. And especially I've come to learn in getting to know Indonesian people that religion can be a really important part of somebody's soul, somebody's identity. It's part of who they are. And so if you criticize their religious beliefs, you're criticizing who they are as a person. Whereas in Australia, there's a lot more of a separation between the secular and the sacred. And a lot of millennials are not particularly religious these days. But engaging with Indonesian people, it's really given me an appreciation of the importance of spirituality and not being arrogant. Some people say, oh, I don't believe in God. Science has all the answers. But science doesn't have all the answers. I mean, I'm a doctor, you know, like I'm supposed to believe in science. I do, but it's a process and we can get things wrong and we learn because we're human. But then I'm open to the possibility of there being, of the divine as well. So I think religious tolerance really has to do with getting rid of your arrogance and trying to defend your position. The same goes for religious people. They have to accept that not everyone's going to believe in your God. And in Indonesia, you grow up from childhood being told, you know, to believe in Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, belief in one God. That's part of who you are as an Indonesian citizen. But if you're born somewhere else in the world, you're not going to grow up under those conditions. So learning about, you know, different backgrounds, different histories, and letting go a little bit is probably the key to religious tolerance there.
All right, thank you, Dr. Alstrand. Letting go a little bit. Okay, next question is from Vincentia, who is from Singapore. And the question is addressed to Michael and also Ms. Wellwell. Maybe Ms. Wellwell can go first with the answer from Vincentia. The question is, the pandemic has taught us that we have to engage and take advantage of social media in order to compete, in order to take opportunities. But oftentimes we get too much unfiltered information, which can be very overwhelming and unhealthy to our mental state. What are your thoughts on that? How do you wisely use and manage your social media, but also be considerate and responsible to others? Ms. Wellwell?
Thank you very much for the question. So I think I have a rule in all my communication. If I don't feel comfortable saying that phrase to myself, why should I put it out there in a public platform for other people to see? Because it is very important for us to control what we're saying on social media. With the world of technology and social media these days, we use a lot of filters. We use a lot of informations that is not accurate. So it is important for us to have our own boundaries with ourselves, like, you know, have a principle that, okay, if I don't feel comfortable saying that to someone, feel comfortable having someone saying that to me, why should I say that to someone else? Or why should I put it out there? So I think we should have that principle. And at the same time, look at all the information that you're reading on social media. Some people will use some certain information for their own agenda, for their own personal gain. And social media platform, they use for people to market their messages. And it's so much easier to state. And you have to know what type of information you are looking for. So it's important to be informed and at the same time educate yourself, because it is the only way you will get to know what is the truth and what is not the truth, and get to know and differentiate the difference between what is false information and what is good information that will help you and understand. And it is important to understand people's perception, because if you don't understand where they're coming from, obviously you will misjudge it, you will misread the messages and how that message is conveyed to you. And especially with technology, you're not seeing that person from the other side, so you can't read the body languages, how they related information to you. All you read is something that is written on social media. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, due to the Twitter these days is, I don't really encourage young people to use it, but they're young people, they'll get used, they will have to use all these social media platforms. They wanna explore. So it is important for you yourself to know what type of information you want. And if you see information out there, go that extra mile and do your own research and find out if that information is accurate or not. And then judge for yourself and make the decision for yourself whether you believe it or not. But it has to come with facts. So information that you read is information that is full of facts, then believe it and double check those informations before you actually say, make up my mind to believe this or not.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wellwell. That means to always and continuously educating yourself and be well read on various topics. So next, Kaka Michael, regarding the question from Vincentia, how do you wisely use and manage your social media to also be considerate and responsible to others?
Thank you for the question. Thank you, Kaka Sarah. I agree with what Ms. Wella said before on how I have to be wise to use my social media. I started with if there's some news or some friends posted something like and it's like come through my mind and I feel like it's not true, I will check the that news first, and what I'm gonna do if I know that it's not true, I will posting something like the similar news that they post, but in I will tell the truth about if that news hoax or no, because I mean I have responsibility. For me, I have responsibility to stop that thing. If I know that is hoax, I will say the truth about what are you guys talking about, and the wrong information, but we can stop it, and we can tell the truth by posting the right.
Yes, thank you, Kaka Michael. We can't run from it, but we can stop it. Thank you for the answer to the question. And we're going to move on to the next question. This question is once again, for Kaka Michael and also Vanessa. Maybe Vanessa can go first. It's from Gaby Priyono. The question is, how do you maximize the potential of youth in order to impact the world? What can you do? To Ms. Boyd.
Thank you very much for this question. Very important question. First of all, I think that youth has all the possibilities and all the, the measures to change the world and to have a big and very good impact on the world. Sometimes for the youth themselves, it's hard to understand the kind of power that we have. I think that it is really important, first of all, to understand that if you want, you can do something, specifically if you are a young person. So as also Lily Rose said, young people have this, this capacity to innovate, to produce new situation, new opportunities, and to have a different also vision of the world and of the things that can be changed in the world or improved. So I think that also during this emergency situation that all the world is facing, we can use the power that we have to give some good contribution to the world using all the instruments that we have. For example, we are developing some new projects for the young people using the new online platforms that can give us the opportunity to connect more people from all over the world, something that before would have been impossible to do in a very easy way. You had to just reunite all the people in the same room, and was something really hard. In this way, you can involve more people, you can give more opportunity of participation to everyone, but you can also create some forum of discussion between the young people in order to exchange views, exchange points, and also organize together to develop something great for not just for us, but for all the world. This is something important. So we have to be conscious on the power that we have and the possibility that we can develop for the others to make a good change in the world and for the world. So I think that first of all, you have to want it. You have to understand that you can do good things if you want, and that there are of course obstacles, but you can overcome that in cooperation with the others. And I think that we have to take the advantages of the situation that we are facing and not just say, okay, I can't do that because it's too hard, because we are in the middle of a pandemic, the world is stopping. This is not true. The world is continuing to do what everyone has to do. The world leaders are continuing working, students have to continue studying, but also as the youth, we have to give our contribution to the world in order to overcome all the problems and to develop smart solutions and different solutions that can change also the view of, for example, the world leaders. So this is my opinion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Boy, being able to take account various perspectives in order to answering the global challenges that we face. Next, Kaka Michael, how can we or you maximize the potential of youth in order to impact the world?
For me to maximize potential of youth, based on my experience, in my hometown in Papua, there's a lot of young people who are not believing their self because of they thought we are from away from Jakarta, no one's seen us, and we are nothing compared to the others. So what can I do? And based on my experience, because of some of them, because they're so young, maybe they're unstable, but they need support. So I become like brother to them. I will listen to them. What can I help you? So I will become their brother to support them. And the thing that I can, the simple thing that I think I can do, and we make like collaboration in art or in something that they have like fresh idea to do whatever they want. Like I have, because I got the opportunity to become a Papuan guy who now work in Jakarta. So I have a lot of connection with friends, and I will connect one by one who can support them. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Kaka Michael, giving the support that everyone needs. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next question, and it's for Kaka Jihan. Kaka Jihan, the question is from Jasmine. As Miss Pariwisata, how do you view the tourism potential in the eastern part of Indonesia? For example, there are provinces like Papua and West Papua that are not as popular as other tourist destinations. How can you become an agent that widely promotes the beautiful unexplored places in Indonesia? And how has the government and other actors have tried to develop these potentials?
Thank you, Jasmine, for the question. A good question, because then the way for me to promote everything exquisitely is by me visiting to Papua, for instance. But because I don't have the chance right now, I could say that there's lots of innovations that has been done in this pandemic, for instance, because there's lots of collaborations with companies, with airline companies, with actors as well. Just to relate the question, I'm just going to give a wrap up. There's lots of systems or programs where lots of endorsements and all those things are being given out for us to explore and for us to expose the hidden gems of the East Indonesia, for instance. And I would say that the companies are doing a very great job, because even me myself, when I didn't have the chance to travel to that side of Indonesia yet, I was actually interested to go on my own. But then when I had that in mind, then the offer came. So yes, I just didn't have the time yet. But of course, with the exposing from social media, with collaborations, with companies, that we are here as the connectors, the actors and the public figures, or just basically anyone is able, they have the potential to be a public figure, actually. Now, not everyone has to have a title to be a role for someone else. And here we function as connectors, where one networks with another individual, and finally we will develop a huge connection. And that's actually one key word is the connector. And here I would say the way is with companies, even individuals. If we have an idea of what to do, of how can we make the one sector to be better, how we have an idea to make to increase maybe the sales scale or something like that, by speaking out, by being vocal, we look for someone who can make this come true. We look for someone that can actually bring up speaking up. It's a matter of exposing places without having to be like what Miss Alstrand said, Dr. Alstrand said, jangan malu. That's actually a very good point, because lots of people go to places with pride and not showing the things that they actually see. So yes, that's actually a wrap up of the things that I think about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kakak Jihan, for your thoughts. But regarding, because the question was talking about Papua and West Papua as well, I cannot help but ask Kakak Michael as well. Kakak Michael, what are your thoughts on this question as well, as someone from Papua?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yes, because according to Jasmine, provinces like Papua and West Papua are not as popular as other tourist destinations. In your opinion, how can you become an agent to promote the beauty of Papua and West Papua? And also, can you please tell us your view and on how has the government and other actors have tried to develop the potentials there?
So yeah, in my experience, when I work, until now, me and my group, we still work like, sometimes my friends, like in some of Indonesian Idol friends, they said, why you always perform and you always talk about Papua? Because we are Indonesia, we are big, we are huge, we are raya, but why you always talk about, like you always put some message about Papua? Because I think the reason why I got this opportunity to become a public figure, because this is a calling for me, for myself, to tell about Papua and how we can collaborate to build Papua through everything, not only through music. So now, what I think about the problem is in transportation. How we can get to know if we don't know about Papua? How we can love? How we can know Papua if we never come to visit Papua? So the simple thing is, I just maybe mention my friend who can speak about, like Jihan said, the power is about how we speak about how our government can reduce the price of airplane or all the transportation, so all people can come to Papua and they can help our local government also to you know, to
access and visit Papua.
to access and visit Papua. Yeah.
Yes, I agree, Kaka Michael. Because from what Kaka Jihan has also mentioned, that we all believe and we know, we have heard the beauty of Papua and West Papua, but we have not yet the chance to visit it because of the access. But hopefully in the coming years, hopefully Kaka Michael will be heard by the government officials or probably the aviation industries as well, so we can have the easiness of visiting the wonderful gems in Indonesia and also the other neighboring countries as well to create mutual understandings. Thank you. That was due to the time limit. I like to apologize to all the participants who have asked a question, who have written down a question, but we haven't had the chance to answer them because we have now arrived at the end of our panelist session for today. But before we conclude and also close the session, I would like to ask the views from all of our panelists for today on what is the main challenges that is being faced right now by the youth in fostering mutual understanding and also creating people-to-people relations, and what can we do to overcome the challenges. Maybe we can start from Miss Lily Rose Wellwell. Miss Wellwell, in your opinion, what are the challenges and how can we overcome it to create and foster mutual understandings, especially among the youth?
Thank you very much for the question. So, in my opinion, some of the challenges that we need to overcome is respecting other people's culture, respecting other people's religion, respecting other people's background, respecting other people's experiences, because all these things is what makes a person who he or who she is. So that is, if all of us could understand, and especially the young people, where now it's an era where technology is increasing and you will have access to a lot of information, a big wealth of information out there. It is important to know that what makes you a human being is being able to relate to someone else, respecting people's opinions, so that you can understand where they're coming from. It doesn't mean that if we disagree on a particular topic that we're human beings. No, we're human beings. We can respect each other, but at the same time have mutual understanding and have a really healthy communication about why you're for the topic or you're not. You're against the discussion that we're having or a particular issue that is faced with other countries. And I think we can overcome that by educating ourselves, be informed of the people different, be informed of our diversity. And like I said earlier, the diversity is the beauty of why we are human beings and why we are who we are. And I think for the young people to overcome that, you have to develop character, values, and empathy. And that's the three keys to how you can overcome those challenges that we're going through and we're facing as I mean, it's an issue that is all over the world. So I think develop your character, values, and empathy so that you can respect and acknowledge other cultures and other people wherever they are around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wellwell, for the 3 keys in overcoming the challenges. And next, Dr. Alstrand, can you please tell us your views on what challenges are the greatest challenges that we have to face and how can we overcome it?
Okay, how can we overcome it? Right. Well, I'm going to talk from an Australia-Indonesian perspective. So from what I can see in Indonesia, the challenges are access. So a lot of members of the Indonesian elite, their children, they'll get the chance to study abroad. So that's wonderful. And that's a step in the right direction for building mutual understanding. But then there's a massive proportion of the population who still don't have that equal opportunity available to them to get a higher level of international education or international exposure. And as well as that, I'll say it again, but malu. Malu is something that really started to get to me as I lived in Indonesia. It became an excuse that was used a lot of the time. Oh, why don't you try this? Malu, so malu, you just throw it away. Just go for it. Don't worry about what other people think. Go up and approach that bule and speak English to them and smile, and then you'll realize that actually I'm interesting. I'm a interesting person with a lot to offer to the world, and people want to know me. From the Australian perspective, I think the Australian media has a lot to be sorry about. They tend to portray Indonesia through the lens of disasters or, unfortunately, terrorism, and you don't get to see the true face of Indonesia, which is a vibrant and amazing country. As well as that, we do have this underlying, unfortunate, we have a sense of, white supremacy. This people tend to look down on, a Muslim country. Need to do something about racism in Australia. So that's a big issue. And also our Australian government needs to put their money where their mouth is. And instead of talking about, we need to build our relationship with Asia, especially our nearest neighbor, Indonesia, they actually need to invest more in education and support, for example, Indonesian language study. And one program that I think is quite successful in Australia is the Australia-Indonesia Youth Association, and that focuses specifically on Australian and Indonesian youth and creates events and these days online events for engagement. As well as that, we have COS Indi, which is the Conference of Australia-Indonesian Youth, and we're running a mentoring program. And it's not just about Australians mentoring Indonesians. It's about, we have Indonesians mentoring young Australians. So those youth-based organizations, I think, are quite effective, and they do get some support from the government, which is good, but more support would be greatly appreciated. So that's my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Alstran. Next, Ms. Boy, what are your views on the challenges and how can we overcome it as the youth?
Yes, thank you. Well, I think that in this period, in this very hard situation that we are all facing, I think that the youth should make clear for the world what the leaders have to do and what have to take into consideration. Because I'm saying this because now everyone, world leaders, institutions are concentrated, as it right, of course, on health issues and on problems related to the pandemic. What I think that the youth has to underline is that right now, trying to solve this crisis, we are also defining the future of the young generations in some way. So also, I think this is a very big issue because the decisions that they will take now will, of course, influence our futures, the future of our, children also, that one day we will have. So I think it's a very, very important period, and our voices have to be raised in order to make, possible to do the right choices. And also, I think it's important to understand and underline that, okay, we're having this big issue, this big problem, but also it's important to say that there are still the other problems that the world was facing before, like, for example, hunger. So people in some countries are still facing hunger and are also, in addition, facing the pandemic. So it's a very hard situation, also wars, conflicts, or lack of education. So we have to bear in mind that there's not just the problem, the issue of the pandemic, but there are a lot of international problems that the world has to take into consideration for our future. So I think that the youth has a very big and very important role now, because they have to make their voices heard in some way with their ideas, with our ideas, with our knowledge also. And I think it's really important to use education to do this, to be educated, to continuing being educated. So study and also be, at the level of the situation that you are facing right now. So this is, I think, the path that the youth has to follow now.
All right. Thank you, Miss Boy. And now, Kakak Jihan, in your opinion, how can we overcome the challenges that you think are the greatest challenges we are facing?
Okay, well, I'm here representing the voice of the youth community or the youth population. There's this thing, the simplest thing actually, it has to start from within. The youth sometimes, I would say, are not aware of that they have this potential to be leaders. They have potentials to be a mastermind. They have something that they can do to offer the world to make better. But they like to make themselves think that I'm still too young. We're still kids. Like we're only this age. I have not much experience, but you never know if you won't try to you don't have the urge to move forward and see if you're actually capable or not, because you won't know if you don't try. And most of these kind of mindsets is dominating, well, based on what I see and based on what I hear from the youth community around me. And sometimes, like, I don't believe in myself. Like, are you sure I have the potential to do? Like, really, you should believe in yourself, because I'm one example that I had that kind of perspective on my own back then. But then I told myself that I cannot just say like this. Like, for instance, in the Indonesian government, before it was dominated by men, but then there was a transition where women are starting to take hold, or they're in charge. And then there's lots of transition where usually it's held by men and then it's held by women. And then I'm sure it's going to innovate again. And then it's one day going to be held by younger people, or maybe it's just going to continue. It's like a wheel. So it has to be fixed from within. It has to be stable. We have to know that we own a foundation with the great support of people around you, with the sectors you need to grow the things you have in your mind, and as your good deeds or your will, things will go and things will portray wellness and the things you want to see in the world, the change you want to feel in the world, not only for you, but for the generations ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Kakak Jihan. Becoming the change that you want to see. Okay, so the last answer I would like to ask from Kakak Michael. What is your answer? What are your views on the challenges we have to face?
I think to mutual understanding, we need to share the values of pluralism, that we are different, so we have to accept diversity. So, and the second thing, in my opinion, I think you need a role model, a figure that can show and to become the example on respect each other regardless on differences. And maybe that's my
All
answer.
right. Okay, that means finding a good role model so we can follow in their footsteps. Thank you very much for your answer, Kakak Michael, Dr. Alsjan, Miss Boy, Kakak Jihan, Miss Wellwell. And since Kakak Michael said that we have to find role models, thank you for all of your insights, and hopefully everyone here can find you, all of you, as the role models in fostering mutual understandings and also creating people-to-people connections in today's world. So I would like to thank everyone here, to Dr. Alsjan, Miss Boy, Kakak Jihan, Kakak Michael, Miss Wellwell. Thank you for taking your time and joining us virtually on the session. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Hope everyone had a wonderful discussion, had a wonderful session. Hopefully, you all will stay safe wherever you are, from Australia, Vanuatu, Italy, and even many parts of Indonesia. Please do stay safe and stay healthy. And most of all, we would like to also thank for everyone participating in Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia. Thank you to Sahabat Kemlu and also the diplomats who have taken the time in joining our sessions for today. Thank you for asking your questions, for joining our discussion. And we'd like to apologize once again if we haven't had the chance to ask your questions to the panelists. But I, Sarah Wayne, thank you for your participation and hope to see you next at our next episode of Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia. Thank you very much dan sampai jumpa.
Thank you. See
Thank you,
you.
Kakak Sarah. Thank you,
Terima kasih
everyone.
semuanya. Thank you, everyone. And now I would like to return the floor to Aulia.
Thank you, Kak Sarah. Thank you everyone for your enthusiasm and active participations in today's webinar. May today's stories encourage us to contribute our ideas to make meaningful impact to the society. Please share your own version of stories on your social media platform by mentioning Indonesia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs Twitter and Instagram at @Kemlu_RI with the hashtag Indonesia Muda. And today's recording of the webinar are available at the YouTube channel of Indonesia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That being said, we have now concluded the 4th episode of We-Talkshow the Series, Indonesia Muda untuk Dunia, or Indonesia Youth for the World. We wish you all good health. See you again in another event.
Thank you.